Hi, and welcome to Digital Diary. So glad that you would join us. I'm really excited today. We all are actually, because we have a little bit of a different group today for Digital Diary because we have some of our hand-guided educators with us too, because we are going to talk about a topic that affects all quilters, not just computerized quilters, but hand-guided quilters as well. But before we jump into the topic, we'll do quick introductions. So I'm Karen Farnsworth, one of the Gammill educators, and joining me today, Lisa Rogers, part of the education team with Gammill, and Georgia Stoll, computerized educator, Jody Robinson, one of our hand-guided educators. Of course, I think all of our hand-guided educators also work with the computerized side of things too. They're very versatile. We've got Sharon Blackmore from Canada. Hey, Sharon. And Karen Marchetti. All right, so we all got together today to talk about educator consults. So Gammill has a program, an option where you can go onto Gammill's website and you can purchase an educator consult, which essentially, does anybody want to define this?
It's like an hour of one-on-one, whatever you need, whether it's education, questions and answers, a demo of something on the machine in 60 minutes, with as much information you can fit in there.
Yeah, it's a pick your brain session.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love this concept because, okay, first of all, one-on-one education, one-on-one pick your brain sessions, that kind of thing, that they're so useful, so valuable because we get to answer your burning questions, exactly the things that you want to know. Now, group education is great. It's a great dynamic, but sometimes you just need to know what you need to know. And so those educator consults are a great way to get some one-on-one time with the educator of your choice. Yeah, Karen.
Well, what I've found is a lot of times in class, some people are reluctant, I guess that's the word, to ask questions. But in an educator consult, you can ask those questions that you don't, and I don't want to say embarrassed, but some people think, it's a dumb question, and no question's dumb.
No.
But at least on a one-on-one, you don't have to feel that because it's just two people. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes that's a great point. Sometimes the question itself, maybe the person thinks it is really just very specific to themselves. So for instance, if you have a particular quilt you're working on and you just want some input as to like what type of quilting to put on it, what kind of designs, that's an individual question. It's kind of just your question. So that's a great time to reach out to an educator and get a consultation.
Especially if you want to go just a little deeper, like sometimes you can find an answer to your question, but you just want to take it just a little bit deeper. Okay, I know this, but what about that? And this allows the student to go as deep as they need to, because I know if you're waiting for why this happens, it makes it a little easier. So I think the students are probably not that far off from me, that they need that deeper explanation once in a while.
So as customers, you can also ask about your machine and ask about different ways to quilt things, but business, that's a good question too. If you have questions in your business, that's something we can all help you with. We've all been there, right? So, and sometimes you run into things that, how do I deal with this? What's the best way to get quilts? Or how do I handle this situation with a customer appropriately? That's something you could ask.
Yeah, we probably all have heard as educators at the end of the class that somebody will say that one thing was worth the whole class. Right?
Exactly.
I learned that one thing and that made the whole class worth it. This educator consult is an hour of all of those things, right? It's a whole hour of those aha moments, and right, because it's the deepest questions. It's the things that you really want to get, into the nitty gritty of. So it's a whole hour of that, just really cool.
So maybe I'll do a screen share here really quick and just show educator consults on the website. So it's really easy to find the educator consults. If you're at gammill.com, you can go to resources for owners. So make sure you've got that owners account. Go to the resources for owners. And then you can go to education. And educator consults are right there under the education menu. And I'll just show you the page here. There we go. So Jody pops up first there. Like I said, like we mentioned, you can pick from your educator. So this might be the most difficult part of the whole process, right? Decide which educator. We got all the educators on here. So that might be the most difficult part because, and I think if you've got any questions as you're choosing an educator, because some of us have specialties, some of us have preferences with the types of consults that we really like to do. You can always reach out to Gammill and ask and say, okay, my particular question is, I need to learn some, really basic stuff, or I'm really most interested in learning something about, or having a discussion about starting a business. Or my question is more on the side of designing. How do I create patterns in Creative Studio 7? And if you reach out to Gammill, out to the education, in fact, actually here it says, if you have any trouble selecting a consultation, you can email contact@Gammill, and we'll give you some advice as to which of our educators might be the best fit for your educator consult so that you can get the most out of that time. And now when you're on this page for the educator consults, you can select an educator. It'll just show the educators here on the main page, but if you click on one, so select one of those educators, click on their picture, and then it will take you to their page that gives you some more information. It's got their bio there, their quilting experience, and that way that just gives you a little bit more information about that particular person, so that you can choose an educator. But again, you can always go to the email contact@Gammill and ask, maybe explain what your specific questions might be or the area you're looking to learn some more about, and we'll certainly help pair you with an educator. Let me stop share. So do any of you gals have a favorite type of consult you like, maybe a great story you want to share from one of the consultations you've done recently? What's your favorite part? What brings you joy about these consultations?
I can say for me, it's just connection. I like the connection with people, and, sometimes it's about affirming what they've done as they show me what they're working on or what they finished. Sometimes, like, it is that one special question, that one aha moment that makes them just, okay, that sometimes one question can answer a lot of questions just because one thing fits into place and everything else does. I love business class sessions because I teach business, and I've been in the business for a while, and there aren't a lot of business classes specialized for quilters. So if you bought your machine to be in business, that's probably what you want, some answers, specific, not just being in business, but specific for dealing with quilting issues.
And everybody's business might be different too, right?
Oh.
So, if you take a class, you'll hear it from somebody's perspective. It's always good to hear from somebody else's perspective too, because we're all of our, even on this panel right here, all of our businesses are different in ways, right? So,
and I like when at the end of almost every one I've had, it's like, wow, that was so easy, and you helped me so much, and you answered so many questions. So I mean, it's I don't know, it's one of those really awesome things, that it's an hour of just one-on-one questions and answers, and I haven't had a bad one yet. So
Me either.
I think another thing that's really nice, fun, whatever about it is that like we've all been doing it for a pretty long, and we can give them answers that will save them a lot of the frustrations that we dealt with, the mistakes that we made. And that's kind of great to know that, okay, you're lucky. You're not going to have to do all this stuff and figure it out,
Right. It's a lot different than when I started. I know for sure, and I'm sure most of you, there weren't educators, period. There were just a few starting, but especially in the computerized world, it wasn't happening, and I remember getting my machine and feeling a bit overwhelmed, and would have loved having, it's sort of like, what is the game show where, use the helpline. That's kind of what it is. It's the helpline. And I love being part of it.
Well, and not only, so when we started, there weren't that many educators, but education was a whole different ballgame. We didn't have this platform where, these educator consults, it's a Zoom call. So it's similar to this, only with the two of you, and you can show pictures, you can show the actual quilt if you have questions about a quilt. You can show your machine. How easy is it now that we have these opportunities? Whereas when most of us started 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was in-person training or nothing at all, right?
Right.
So I love that Jody said that. I think that one of our passions as a group, as an education team, and as individuals, one of the reasons we do what we do is because it is so rewarding to be able to help other quilters progress faster than we did, or to make progress, period, right? I think that's one of our joys. I see everybody going, yep.
Yeah, to love their machine. I say a machine without education is a boat anchor. It doesn't help you. Matter of fact, I remember telling our kids we were buying one, and my oldest son said, yeah, my friend, his parents have one, and it sits in the basement and they throw stuff on it. But education makes the machine come alive, and it's real to them, and it's usable. And it's not a boat anchor. It's nothing but great fun and creativity.
Yeah.
Well, the wonderful thing about this group that you get to choose from is that there's lots of diversity in this group. You have lots of different kinds of quilters who specialize in lots of different types and modalities of quilting. So I think that's the richness of this group, is that as you look for an educator to help you in a one-on-one, you have a variety of different talents here. So that's a great wealth to this group.
Yeah. I definitely think my favorite part of the consults is at the end, when you realize how much the person that you're talking to has grown. Like the growth to me is it's huge, because I've done some consults where the client, like shall we say, will come with, or the quilter will come with maybe 2 pictures of a quilt, saying, I want to figure out designs. Obviously try to get as much out of the hour as possible, which is fine. But sometimes it takes like the whole hour and we've just only touched on the one quilt. But what's really cool to hear at the end of that is that I think from what we've talked about, and not just picking designs, but why we're choosing them and what complements them and what makes a good overall design, instead of just put this design on it, right? We really talk about the whys and the thought process that goes in behind of choosing those things. And then at the end of that hour, I'm hearing, I think I want to tackle that one on my own, the next one, right? Like, let me see if I can use the things that I've learned. And that's what it is the education gives you the tools and the confidence to be able to go ahead and do some of these things on your own without asking for help, right? That's the goal. So I love hearing that.
It is one-on-one personalized education. Like, you get to pick your class, you get to pick your instructor. And I don't know. I can't put into words what I'm thinking, but it's really cool.
Yeah. But I like what it's not just telling you this is what I would put on it. It really isn't. This is why. So learning the elements of how you make the decision is more important than saying this is how I would do it. Because this is how I would do it. Well, it's not your quilt, it's their quilt. Right. So trying to pull out the elements of decision, I think, enables them to move forward more than just here's an idea, do it this way. I don't ever want to do that. It's not that, it's not teaching them. It's just giving them advice for a quilt. I'd rather they learn the elements.
Yeah.
Great point, Sharon.
All right. Well, so as we wrap up this discussion a little bit, do you gals have any advice? Like what should we tell our viewers, like people that are considering an educator consult? Is there anything that they need to do, to prepare for these consultations that would make them more valuable?
I always like to ask. Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. I always like to have, tell me your background, send me a picture of the quilt, tell me what your vision is so far. Right, or if it's for a client, what their vision is, kind of thing, and get as much information as possible going into that hour, so we don't spend hardly any time during that hour doing the get to know me. We just get right to the meat of the stuff. Right.
And have your list of questions, because maybe you mostly want to know about a quilt, but there's 2 other little questions like, oh, I've encountered this with a customer, and how would you deal with, how do I deal with it? That sort of thing. Because so many times you ask and they're like, oh, I have no idea. I can't think of a question. And I think that's sad. Yeah.
Well, in my experience, they'll bring their list of questions, because that's what I ask is, have your questions written down so that when we get there, we know where to start. Let's get started. And one question will lead to a discussion on something else. It'll branch out to something they hadn't thought or hadn't written down.
Right.
By the end of the hour, we've covered so much, and it's all pertinent. It's all very important to them, and the growth that you can actually see, and the increased confidence that you see. Plus, it's just fun.
I love it.
Yeah, I think one of the other suggestions I might have is for people to help them choose an educator is to check out our social media that we have. I mean, we're all on social media. We're all promoting our own work. And it's a really good way to get a sense of the style of the person, what kind of quilts that they're quilting, not only the kinds of quilts they're quilting, but the style of quilting that they put on those quilts. And try to find something that, okay, that's one of my goals, is to do something like that. And usually you'll see such a good amount of different kinds of work on our pages that you can it may help you make that decision.
Right.
That's great advice. Absolutely.
I think too, it's important to remember that whether you're a very beginner or you're an advanced quilter, a consult would be a good thing for both of those types of things, everything in between.
Yeah.
Even if you're just starting out, or you just need to know you're making a show quilt and you need some ideas, I think this is a great place.
I think that's a great point too. Yeah, because some of the consults I've had have not been about discussing what might work on a particular quilt. It might not be a project. Some of the ones that I get are very, very specific, detailed, in-depth. How do I use Creative Studio for something very specific, like designing a pattern, an advanced topic. So totally agree with you, Lisa. Educator consults are for everybody.
And how much time does that save that person scouring the internet to get the instructions that they need, when they could just, oh, that's it. Okay. Carry on.
And then ask the question, like, why did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can watch a video, but you can't go, wait, I don't understand that part.
Right.
But in a consultation, you can.
And we've got the screen share option, so we can,
the
student can watch me do something, or I can watch them do something, and doing something is always better than talking through something, right? For the learning process. So yeah, I think you can tell, I hope our viewers can tell, we're pretty excited about this program, the Educator Consults. We literally, truly just enjoy them.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of excited now. I'm more excited if we get a bunch of consults so that, we can have more fun with the students.
Yeah.
I'll book one with you when we're finished here.
No, I was just thinking that, because as we're talking about, even advanced quilters can benefit from it. I mean, that's what we do with each other as an education team, right?
Yeah.
We are all still learning. And I learn something with every consult I do. I learn from my students.
Usually, true.
Yeah. So, and again, that's probably another reason that it really makes us smile and that we really enjoy it. So, Yeah. I so appreciate you ladies for joining me. So this was a really fun digital diary. I appreciate all of the discussion, and thank you to the viewers. Thanks you guys for joining us, and be sure to check out those educator consults next time you have a question. And see you next time on Digital Diary and Latest Thread.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.